Hello and welcome again. Today, let's talk about codependency and how it may figure into grief issues. Before we talk about codependency, let's first talk about independence and interdependence. Most mental health professionals will tell you that learning to be independent, that is to say, being able to take care of yourself such that you are fully capable as a functioning adult, is one of the main goals of maturing through childhood and becoming an adult. As parents, we should be, but too often we are not, attentive to this goal for our children, because without learning to be independent, a person will likely not have a very satisfying or enjoyable life. Once a person learns to live independently, they have a whole new challenge. And that is this: as adults, our level of relational and social functionality, well, that depends on learning to be interdependent with other adults. Let me explain. An interdependent relationship is founded on two or more people, each of whom can live independently, but they are also mutually supportive of others. Unfortunately, some people do not become functionally independent, and as such, they're unable to become properly interdependent. They remain dependent, as we all are when we were children. And this lack of learned independence typically leads to unsatisfying couple relationships and dysfunctional young adults for a variety of reasons. Being codependent with another person, well, that means we have an unhealthy level of dependence on each other. For example, a codependent relationship may occur between a person who has a need to dominate in a close relationship and a person who has not become self-dependent, meaning that even as an adult, they could not function without leaning on others in an unhealthy way. Another example of a codependent relationship is when one person enables another person who has a problematic impulse issue, such as alcoholism, to continue with that problematic behavior so that he or she won't fully suffer the consequences of their impulses. When codependent persons lose a person with whom they are codependent, they may struggle more than others who have learned independence and interdependence. Not only has that person lost someone that was important to them, but depending on the specific dynamics of the relationship, they might struggle with guilt about how they treated the person who died, or they might experience paralyzing fear because their dependency issues are very great and they are once again unable to live independently. If you have a sense that you and your loved one had an unhealthy codependent relationship and that the dependency aspect of your lost relationship is complicating your grief, I would highly recommend that you find an experienced mental health counselor or therapist and involve that person in your grieving journey. The exercises and information throughout our program will be very pertinent to your loss, but you are most likely going to need some additional help. Codependency is very common, and it takes a variety of forms. Just because you feel defeated, empty, hopeless, and even afraid, well, that doesn't mean codependency was an issue for you. Grief symptoms are often very similar to specific mental health problems. The difference between them is that grieving after a loss is not unhealthy because your reaction is natural and normal. If codependency really is part of the problem, you'll know, because you will probably be stuck in your grief and you'll likely find yourself looking to reenact the dynamics of your lost relationship through a new and different relationship. I'm going to end this episode here, and of course, I'll do so starting with reviewing key points from the episode, which are: 1. Part of growing up to become an adult is to learn independent living skills. 2. If you have learned to be independent, the next challenge is to learn to be interdependent. 3. Being interdependent means that both persons in a relationship have autonomous independent living skills and they are able to enhance each other's living experience by mutually supporting each other without compromising either person's independence. Finally, codependent relationships are not healthy, and they can complicate the grieving process, which will often require additional help from a mental health professional. Now, stepping stone for today is ask yourself before you lost your loved one, was there anything about your relationship that seemed unhealthy? Was there a significant power differential between you and your loved one? Did one of you enable unhealthiness in the other? For example, helping the other person continue with unhealthy behaviors like alcoholism or drug abuse. Depending on your answers, consider speaking to a counselor or therapist about how losing this person is impacting your healing from the loss. The reflection for today is, let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. For the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. That is by the poet Khalil Gibran in a book called The Prophet. Well, that's it for today. I look forward to seeing you in other episodes in the future, and in the meantime, be well.